Good morning, everybody. This is Richard Walker. I'm the Efficient CEO for Efficient Technology, Inc. We're the makers of Quick and Via Forms. Today we're going to do a demonstration and a discussion around how to eliminate errors and speed up the sales process. Also with me today is Michael Reagan, my VP of Business Development, and I brought him along because I can't hear you, just so he could laugh at my jokes and I'd have some audience participation.
Morning, everybody.
Anyway, let's get started. I appreciate everybody taking the time to sit in on today's webinar and presentation. If you do have questions, there's a Ask a Question section on your presentation screen, and you can just type in the question, we will see it, and we'll respond to it. We'll try to keep it interactive and answer questions throughout the presentation, and feel free to ask anything you'd like. So I want to start with telling you guys my story. I'm a serial entrepreneur. I've started 10 different companies since age 12, and back in the year 2000, I left a very successful technology consulting business because I got tired of technology consulting. I really wanted to do something where I felt like I had a long-term impact on people's lives and had a long-term relationship versus just doing a technology consultation for 6 months or something. So what I chose to do is become a financial advisor. And as a financial advisor, you work really, really hard to earn the trust and respect of your clients, and then you get rewarded by opening their accounts. Well, part of that process was filling out all the paperwork for their accounts. I'm sure many of you on this call have done the same. If you've opened up a retirement plan, participated in a 401k, got a life insurance contract, etc., there's a ton of paperwork that's literally filled out by hand. So back then in 2001, when I finally earned that reward of filling out somebody's paperwork, I said, well, this is dumb. Why am I going to spend 45 minutes handwriting paperwork and make, what, $4 an hour when you add it all together? That just didn't make sense to me. So I built a technology that would automatically fill out my forms for me using data from the system that I collect data with. And as I started turning in these really great, clean forms to the branch manager of my firm, I kept getting the same response. Rich, how'd you do this? I'm like, I just built this little software, whatever. They're like, yeah, great, give it to me. I'm like, no. I'm a financial advisor now. I'm not a technologist. They said, yeah, right. You're a technologist. I want your software. I listened to this for about 6 months and finally said, I think I have something here. I went back to my technology partner and said, hey, why don't we build a product for the market, and why don't we bring forms automation to all the financial professionals and the sales professionals out there? So that's what we did. After 2 years, I gave up my financial planning license and practice and focused purely on the forms capability that we offer. So today, we really refer to ourselves as the Forms Company because there's 2 things we do really, really well. Number one, we help our customers manage their forms better. So I don't know if everybody on this call actually filled out paperwork as part of your sales process, but many companies do have some kind of form or contract that has to get signed. So when we manage forms, what we do is we take the original documents that our customers use and put it into a library system, and we make every single one of them fillable, interactive, secure, and electronically signable if you support that. The second thing we do really well is deliver forms. Simply means that we enable the user to get the form they need at the exact point in time that they need it and on the device that they're using. So those people who are out in the field, for example, maybe somebody who's selling credit card merchant processing, they can take their iPad to their customer site and get the exact forms they've been doing with paper and fill them out right there on their iPad and submit them for processing. So we break our products into 4 main categories. We do the form building, as I mentioned. We do the forms hosting. That means we put the forms in that library so it's centrally located, always available, and we always have the latest version available. And then the second 2, number 3 and 4, is our enterprise forms engine and our turnkey software. These are 2 different software approaches to delivering forms to users. As I mentioned, we started this company a long time ago. We serve well over 100,000 users, over 300 customers today. A lot of our work has been in financial services. You might recognize some of these companies like MassMutual. But let me talk a little bit about the success and the reason people come talk to us. Number one, people are trying to save money. I mean, obviously, if you're spending your time out there working to win your customers' respect and earn their business, anything you can do to save time and money in that process is going to make you more money in the end. Also, eliminating errors. I can't tell you how many companies I talk to where I say, hey, how many of the forms that your sales reps are turning in are rejected on the first pass? I hear upwards of even 100% of all forms being rejected. Can you imagine? Every single time you submit paperwork for your client that you want to do business with, you get your forms rejected? And it's simple because there's errors, there's omissions, you can't read handwriting or whatever. And so people come to us to help eliminate those errors. Also, our customers want to deploy anywhere that their users are, whether that's in an office where everybody meets or at a kitchen table with a client or out in the field. We want to be able to deploy forms and the sales process wherever the users are. So we're really proud of the fact that we've had customers working with us for well over 10 years. One of our customers started in 2004. They actually gained 100% adoption of over 1,500 users in the first year of our system. We've helped many companies go live with electronic signature. That's often a challenge. It's fine if you just have a contract and you want to load it into a product like DocuSign, which is one of our partners. That's fairly straightforward. But when we're talking about repetitive forms and automating the paperwork process, that's a challenge that we do very, very well. Our systems are very straightforward and fast to deploy, and also we're very innovative. We've even helped a life insurance company deploy forms as part of an app that they built for their iPad. So imagine they had a bunch of life insurance and annuity salespeople using an iPad to show hypothetical illustrations to their clients, so the client would say yes to doing business, but then they couldn't fill out the paperwork. They had to go back to paper. So with Quick, they were able to add the forms right into the iPad app, and as a result, they saw their business triple immediately. Now, one of the things that I think is really an interesting topic is the perspective of the customer. I mean, what are your choices? If you look at your sales process and you say a key way to speed it up is to eliminate the error on forms and process forms faster, how do you do it? I mean, what are your choices for doing forms automation? Generally speaking, there's only been two choices in the world. If you're a big enough company, you can go hire IBM. You can hire Adobe Professional Services, etc. And you can pay for exactly what you want. I know the largest financial companies out there have spent millions of dollars per year to have such a system in place. And that's great. It does exactly what it's supposed to do. But most people can't afford that. So that leaves the rest of us with the do-it-yourself approach. That means go buy a tool, try to figure it out. Well, that's like me saying, hey, Michael, I got a great idea. Let's go to Home Depot today. Let's buy some hammers, some nails, some wood. Let's build a house. Okay, look, I've never built a house. Michael, have you ever built a house?
I have not.
Yeah, okay. How great is our house going to be? I mean, that's the problem with do-it-yourself. It sounds all great. You can save money, whatever, but are you really getting the result you want? So that's where we come in. As Quick, we are a service-based organization. Everything we do is about providing the service to build the forms, to host the forms, to deliver the forms. We have done the architecture. We have built the infrastructure. This is our specialty. Just like you would hire a general contractor to build your home and not do it yourself, we come in and provide a bevy of tools and services to make forms automation very simple and straightforward. Now, one of the things you always have to ask is, why is this the right solution? What kind of forms automation solution do you actually need? I mean, for example, when's the last time you filled out a paper form to get an airline ticket? It's silly. Nobody would do that. We did it back in the 70s and 80s, but we don't do that anymore. We just go online, we go to Travelocity, Expedia, whatever, and we just type in some information and we generate the plane ticket. That is a way of eliminating forms. That's a great example of when the form is no longer needed. Well, we work best when the form has to retain its look and feel. So imagine you want to do something as simple as a W-4 form, the U.S. government tax form, or an I-9 for immigration and or proof of citizenship, whatever. The U.S. government does not want you to redesign their form to make it automated online. So what does that leave you with doing? That leaves you with paper. In our world, we make it look and feel exactly the same way. We take the exact document and make it work. Or if there's a large library of forms that need automation, as an example, John Hancock Life Insurance has over 1,000 forms in our library. How do you automate 1,000 forms? That's just daunting. That's what we do well. Another reason that we're a good fit is when traditional forms automation is just too expensive. You may be looking at a form that you only fill out once or twice a week or once a month and saying, oh, this isn't worth automating because, I'm just doing it a handful of times. Honestly, we can do it for very, very inexpensive and make that absolutely worth doing. And of course, as I mentioned, because users want to get to the forms across their different devices, different browsers, different operating systems, then that's where we come into play. So I want to start now talking about how we get started, because if we're going to automate a process, especially a sales process where a form is being used, the first step is to get the form. So what our customers do is they give us their forms. We usually get them in PDF format, and we do the work of building the form. So we start by putting it into a library system. It's called QuickFormsManager.com. This is where our customers can load their forms. They can run reports and see the usage of their forms. They can also have insight into the build process, because we have a team of people over here who are actually building the form to the exact same methodology and same standard every single time. So I want to illustrate something about forms automation. Have you ever gone to the doctor's office and they hand you a clipboard and there's 5 different documents on it and each one asks for your name at the top of the page? So Michael, when you've done that, did you put the same name at the top of every page, or did you change it every time?
I put the same name.
Why would you do that? It's a silly question, I know, but when it comes to forms automation, if you enter a value once that's repetitive and asked for multiple times, you should not have to enter it again. If you are entering it over and over and over again, that is not forms automation. That's just a fillable document. What we have done is we looked at forms and said, hey, every form is simply a display mechanism for the data that it wants on that form. So whether it's a doctor asking for your first name, a financial advisor, a real estate agent, a U.S. government employee, it's still your first name, right? It doesn't change. So why would the form have to be built differently? So what I'm getting at is, when we build our forms, we look at every customer's forms and we say, okay, here are the common fields: first name, middle name, last name, addresses, date of birth, phone numbers, employers, et cetera, et cetera. We defined a set of fields that's actually over 200,000 fields so that we can automate forms consistently across the board. What that means to you is, well, first of all, you don't have to worry about it because that's what we do. But more importantly, what it means to you is when you're using the form, it all works the same way. Whether you're doing a new account form for your customer, or a change of address for the customer, or an employment application for one of your employees, or a benefits form for your 401k and healthcare, it doesn't matter. They all work the same way. When we then finish building that form, we publish it. Here's a critical thing about software. If you change something, do you want your whole system to go down and break? That's the most efficient thing in the world, if your system goes down simply because somebody decided to change the design of a form. Well, with our system, because it's all about the fields, first name is always first name, it doesn't matter if you change the form design. It doesn't matter if first name went from page 1 to page 2. When we republish the form, your system keeps working. That's one of the beauties of our system. And we have customers, big enterprise customers, who literally use 8,000 forms in our library. And those forms have a tendency to change almost on a daily basis. I don't mean all of them. I just mean something is changing on a daily basis. So they can't have their system go down. When we do publish the form, we make it available in 2 formats. The first format is HTML because that's your web browser. We want to show the form in a web browser so that your user can use it on their iPad, their Mac, their PC, whatever environment they're on, interact with the form, fill it out, check the check boxes, sign it, etc. We also render a PDF version. PDF is the print-perfect version. It's the one that you want to use for archiving, for your document management system on the back end. It's also the version that is generally signed electronically. All right, let's put some context together. I want to actually show you a screen and give you a live demonstration of a couple things. So first, I'm going to start with one of our customers. This is a subsidiary of a bank, and a really simple solution that they were looking for was they had forms on their website. So they have customers who will go to their website, click on the Forms tab, and then choose the forms that they want to fill out. How great is that? If your sales process is people just going to your website and filling out forms, that's awesome. But it's not awesome if you're having a challenge getting them to actually do the forms. What most customers do is they put a PDF out here. And there's two problems with PDF. Number one, if that PDF has to change, somebody has to go to your website and change your website. Well, that's obviously work, and not everybody wants to go through that work. Second, I don't know if everybody knows this, but if you go to the effort of making your PDF a fillable PDF, it's only fillable on a Microsoft PC. It doesn't work on an iPad. It doesn't work on a MacBook unless you have your user buy software. And I don't know who wants to tell the user, hey, go buy software in order to fill out a form. So what we've done is we built a form link technology. If you look at the top, it says quickforms.com, but it's all branded with our customer's logo and their scheme. So these are their forms. I can navigate to the different forms just by going page by page. They're blank, so I can type in whatever information I want and fill it out. We can check boxes, you can see over here. We can go through this form and completely fill it out as designed. I can scroll through the form page by page. I can also, if you notice at the top, I can do some things. I can save this form, which means if I were to clear it and come back later, I could reload it. I can print it. This is going to generate the PDF version that we talked about, and I can view that PDF. And you'll see here it has the information I've typed in, the checkboxes, etc. And in certain cases, this is still an editable field, so we can still continue to type if that's necessary. And we can even go so far as to sign this form electronically. Now, when I was speaking earlier about our definition of fields, the 200,000 plus fields, one of the ways that we made this really easy to work with is we defined our fields according to role. So if you have an account owner versus a beneficiary versus employee versus employer, all of our fields on the form are organized around the role, which means that when we go to sign the document, we can very quickly just fill in the information and know that the person's only going to sign where they're supposed to sign. Now, this particular demonstration is being signed through DocuSign. That's one of our partners. We also partner with Signix. This is another great signature product out there with a lot of capabilities. And we even have our own signature technology. So this was a starting point. This is just simply putting forms on a website. I want to take it a step further. Here's another customer where you want to go to their site and get forms. What will happen with this form when I generate it is it'll track it. And you'll see here, I have the ability to save it and submit it. So I can actually fill out this form and submit it electronically, and it will route the form to the back office person who's supposed to now process the paperwork, or to the sales rep, or to the marketing person, or whatever the purpose of this form might be. I'm not going to submit this one because I don't want my friends here at ATM Concepts to get a form from me and say, hey, why are you filling out my forms? But suffice it to say, this process here is a simple link from a website, which then has the ability to route documents and send it to a back office person. Now let's talk about a third way. This is our actual product called Via Forms, which is using all the quick technology, and this is very similar to what I just showed you with ATM Concepts. When their back office person receives an email notifying them of the form, this is where they go. They log into Via Forms and they can see the documents that have been submitted. Now this is also designed for a sales team. We have a customer who has 50 sales reps selling merchant processing solutions, and they can simply just go choose forms. Each person can log in, they can choose the forms they want, and they can say, okay, I'm going to do this Trustman IRA form group. I'm going to click to view the form and fill it out. So what this does is it brings it up. If I maximize my screen, you can see we can apply rules to the field, so we can require fields like the red highlight ones. We can do background colors to help the user identify what fields to fill in here. So I'll put in my name. You can see other required fields like the SSN. And also when we talk about repetitive information, where we're typing in information over and over again, like home phone, we would expect if I go to another form, well, like my name, I already did that one. We expect it to automatically flow throughout the document. And if I change it here, we should be able to see it change everywhere. So it did. That's a really nice thing because you don't want to have to enter the data over and over and over again. We can also sign this document right here on the screen. So this will take me to each signature location over here on the left and present me with the screen. If I have a touch screen device, this is really great. So I can now sign my signature here and hit done. It will walk me through every single signature box on here so I can keep going. And then now it switches to owner 2. I'm not owner 2, so I'm going to skip the signature and keep going. I can also just cancel out of this, and I can go to each one and click on it where I want to sign. Now, what if I want to send this form off to my customer, because I'm the sales rep, and have them fill it out? Well, how cool would that be? How about this? I'll send this to Davy Jones, probably Davy. I don't know how you spell Davy Jones. Let's just spell it that way. I'm going to put in my email address because I only have my own email to look at, and it's asking for a verified code. The verified code is here for security. It's a code. It can represent anything you want, the customer's zip code, the last 4 digits of their cell phone number, whatever you want. But that way, you know when you call them and say, hey, I'm sending you a form, they're going to know the code to put in. And that way, we don't have to actually send the form through the email. We can just send an invitation. So I'm going to put the document name as the person that I'm doing this form for, and hit save. And now this is going to route the document. So we'll give it a moment to save it back to the system, submit it off to the next person. We can close this and close this window. I can go back to my home page while I'm waiting for the email to come over. And you can see down here at the bottom, Davy Jones, the sender is Rich Walker, sent to Davy Jones on this date. And I can go view the details of this, and I can see where it's at. So I can see Rich Walker, the sales rep, completed his part. Now it's sitting in the customer's hands. It's been sent, not viewed. And at any point in time as a sales rep, I can continue working on this by viewing the form. But I also should have an email pop up here in a second. All right, so there's the email. And I can just click the View Form link. And now as the recipient, I have to type in that code. I know, really simple code, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And now this will display the form. You can see the name of the form up here. This logo up here can be any customer logo. It doesn't have to be ours, but it is by default. You can see the information that was previously entered. And now I can go through the process of filling it out myself. So I can add additional data. Maybe I'll put in my address. Well, you know, you don't type in presentations like this well, so I'll just stop there. I can also go through and finish signing. Get to the end. I'm going to skip all these because I'm just going to quickly do this. And when I see the finish button, it'll now automatically send it back, or it'll stop me saying, hey, you didn't fill out all the required fields. So now I should go through and say, oh, I need to put in a social security number. And so now if I'm done, if that's it, I can submit it. And as the recipient, I can now send this back. So we've done all this electronically. We've done it really fast, and we've facilitated the sales process because you know where the document's at. So here's that email. You can tell the status of it. Now you can see Davy Jones was the sender, and we can go look at the document. We can get a PDF. We can download the raw data in XML, and we can always view the web version and keep working on it. So whatever the route is that our customers set up, it's up to them. This can start with a sales rep, go to an email recipient, then go automatically to the operations team, and then to approval, or it can come back to the sales rep, whatever is necessary. It facilitates the sales process and streamlines it. Here's something else to consider. If you're not doing electronic signature, DocuSign, one of our partners, they did a study with a company, and they discovered that if you don't get a signature on a document when you present it to your customer, if you don't get a signature within 24 hours, you have a 76% chance of never getting a signature. Imagine that. I mean, Michael, you're in sales. How hard is it to get somebody even on the phone, let alone to get them to sign?
Too hard to miss that bet.
Yeah. So now, if you don't get a signature in 24 hours, 76% chance you're never going to get a signature because the document sits on their desk. I mean, I've experienced this. So if you have a sales process that depends on forms, and your forms can be signed immediately, you will have a very fast turnaround time. To make that statistic even worse, if you don't get signature within 3 days, there's a 94% chance you'll never get signature. When you send out a form electronically with signature capability, and you can see where it's at and the date when it was going, et cetera, you will find out, you'll know exactly where you're at with everybody, and you'll be able to call them and say, hey, we've got to get this signed and follow up much faster. All right, so that's high level, really quick view of what we do from a forms automation standpoint. And I want to see if anybody has questions. I don't see any questions asked by the audience, but we'd love to open this up for questions. Michael, do you have any things that I should show next? Any other options?
Maybe you should just talk about what the industry trend is going to look like so people are planning for the future.
No, that's a great question. You know, a lot of people are moving from paper to electronic forms, and that's been happening over the past decade. But we've seen a massive acceleration for electronic signature in only the past couple of years. I've been talking about electronic signature since 2003. I've been demonstrating it since 2003. And we've been legally capable of handling electronic signature since the year 2000 when President Clinton signed the e-Sign Act. That means that electronic signature has to be accepted. But it's really only in the past couple of years that we've seen acceleration of people accepting those signatures. And it's because of systems like ours and our partners like Signex, where it makes it easy to actually fill it out and sign it and complete the process. What we're seeing more and more, though, is those customers who aren't moving fast enough, they're losing business. They're stagnating. They're losing sales reps. They're losing employees. So it certainly makes sense to become more modern and more efficient in the process. Now, what I've shown you on the screen is more of an entry-level approach to how you fill out the forms. With our enterprise customers, we're actually enabling their systems to pull data from existing data sources, CRMs like Salesforce, push data onto the form, submit the form electronically, validate it so that there's no errors, approve transactions in real time, then generate PDFs, even with barcodes, so that they can scan those documents and match it up to electronic data. Obviously, do the electronic signature. Imagine just a straight-through process where you can start the form, get your client, fill it out, sign it, and submit it all in the same day or even the same moment. We had a customer go live with e-signature years ago, and their process had been taking up to 10 business days to complete. When they went live with our system, it immediately dropped to 1 hour. And in that 1 hour, what that meant to that company was they hit their profit goal, the annual profit goal in the first 5 months of the year. They eliminated a 12-month backlog of paperwork in that first 5 months as well. So now they had no backlog anymore. And they cut their operations team from 8 people down to 4 people. Luckily, they didn't fire those people. They just had them move on to other roles and other jobs. So there's a lot of capabilities. What we're also seeing in the future is a drive to mobile devices. The number of field people who have tablets or iPads and they need the ability to fill out documents is really increasing a lot. So that's why our HTML forms technology is very, very important. You know, frankly, as an entrepreneur, I've always looked at how to change the world, how to be innovative, and we've reinvented ourselves several times. It actually took us 3.5 to almost 4 years to build our HTML model and move away from the PDF model. And we're going to continue to innovate with our product. We have all sorts of new capabilities that we keep adding into it, like the ability to dynamically insert an image or a new logo in the document. Anyway, those are probably details that are too boring for everybody, but
maybe 2 more things. This idea around adopting in stages, we've seen customers be successful with that tactic. And then I've also heard you say repeatedly that 80% of the value is in the required fields. You can get much value.
Right. No, that's a great point. When I was showing you guys self-directed IRA, they're a great example of this. They started with just putting the forms out on their website. Then they said, hey, let's move up to adding electronic signature. And now they're saying, hey, how do we move on to submitting data? It's a great stepping stone because it's hard to do everything at once. It's really nice to say, yeah, I have this holy grail idea of straight-through process, but realistically, you can get 60, 70, 80% of the value just by putting forms electronically out there for people to fill out. The Via Forms product I just showed you is a huge improvement over anybody doing a traditional paper-based process. Even though I didn't show you it pre-filling data, even though I didn't submit the data to the back office electronically, I mean, there's so many more things we can do with it. This part has a huge impact on the businesses that are using it. So we always recommend people work in stages. Maybe the first thing we do is help you get your forms electronically available. Maybe the next thing we do is go to electronic signature. It's up to you, but those stages really help a lot. Another thing to talk about is what you were saying, that we find 80% of the errors on forms can be eliminated simply by requiring the correct fields. I mean, you probably know this. If you fill out a form, there's lots and lots of information that's being asked for. But predominantly, there's a small handful that are required to make this a really good transaction. If we can help you apply requirements to those fields, you will eliminate 80% of your errors right off the bat, maybe even more. One of our customers even took us to task on this. They have something like 2,600 different field requirements across their library of 100 forms, and it's very successful for them. So that's a great point, Michael. On the screen, of course, you can see our contact information. We're happy to answer more questions and facilitate any discussion that you want to have. I will tell you a couple of our philosophies. Number one, we don't have unhappy customers. We really only want to work with the customers where we're the right fit for them, they're the right fit for us, and that we can make sure we're providing the best solution. So I will be the first to tell you if we're not the right solution. Second, if you went to our website and you would look at our core philosophies, you would see that we love what we do. We strive to provide outstanding customer service. We strive to build products that are really, really easy to work with. And when we make a promise, we fulfill it. We do what we say we're going to do. So again, I'm going to wrap this up, give you guys back your day. I appreciate everybody sitting through the conversation today. And again, let us know if you have questions, and look forward to helping you guys be more efficient and speedier in your sales process. Take care, everyone. Thank you. Good morning, everybody. This is Richard Walker. I'm the Efficient CEO for Efficient Technology, Inc. We're the makers of Quick and Via Forms. Today we're going to do a demonstration and a discussion around how to eliminate errors and speed up the sales process. Also with me today is Michael Reagan, my VP of Business Development, and I brought him along because I can't hear you, just so he could laugh at my jokes and I'd have some audience participation.
Morning, everybody.
Anyway, let's get started. I appreciate everybody taking the time to sit in on today's webinar and presentation. If you do have questions, there's a Ask a Question section on your presentation screen, and you can just type in the question, we will see it, and we'll respond to it. We'll try to keep it interactive and answer questions throughout the presentation, and feel free to ask anything you'd like. So I want to start with telling you guys my story. I'm a serial entrepreneur. I've started 10 different companies since age 12, and back then, we really refer to ourselves as the Forms Company because there's two things we do really, really well. Number one, we help our customers manage their forms better. So I don't know if everybody on this call actually filled out paperwork as part of your sales process, but many companies do have some kind of form or contract that has to get signed. So when we manage forms, what we do is we take the original documents that our customers use and put it into a library system, and we make every single one of them fillable, interactive, secure, and electronically signable if you support that. The second thing we do really well is deliver forms. Simply means that we enable the user to get the form they need at the exact point in time that they need it and on the device that they're using. So those people who are out in the field, for example, maybe somebody who's selling credit card merchant processing, they can take their iPad to their customer site and get the exact forms they've been doing. Back in the year 2000, I left a very successful technology consulting business because I got tired of technology consulting. I really wanted to do something where I felt like I had a long-term impact on people's lives and had a long-term relationship versus just doing a technology consultation for 6 months or something. So what I chose to do is become a financial advisor. And as a financial advisor, you work really, really hard to earn the trust and respect of your clients, and then you get rewarded by opening their accounts. Well, part of that process was filling out all the paperwork for their accounts. I'm sure many of you on this call have done the same. If you've opened up a retirement plan, participated in a 401k, got a life insurance contract, etc., there's a ton of paperwork that's literally filled out by hand. So back then in 2001, when I finally earned that reward of filling out somebody's paperwork, I said, well, this is dumb. Why am I going to spend 45 minutes handwriting paperwork and make, what, $4 an hour with paper and fill them out right there on their iPad and submit them for processing? So we break our products into 4 main categories. We do the form building, as I mentioned. We do the forms hosting. That means we put the forms in that library so it's centrally located, always available, and we always have the latest version available. And then the second two, number 3 and 4, is our enterprise forms engine and our turnkey software. These are 2 different software approaches to delivering forms to users. As I mentioned, we started this company a long time ago. We serve well over 100,000 users, over 300 customers today. A lot of our work has been in financial services. You might recognize some of these companies like MassMutual. But let me talk a little bit about the success and the reason people come talk to us. Number 1, people are trying to save money. I mean, obviously, if you're spending your time out there working to win your customers' respect and earn their business, when you add it all together, that just didn't make sense to me. So I built a technology that would automatically fill out my forms for me using data from the system that I collect data with. And as I started turning in these really great, clean forms to the branch manager of my firm, I kept getting the same response. Rich, how'd you do this? I'm like, I just built this little software, whatever. They're like, yeah, great, give it to me. Like, no, I'm a financial advisor now. I'm not a technologist. They said, yeah, right. You're a technologist. I want your software. I listened to this for about 6 months and finally said, I think I have something here. I went back to my technology partner and said, hey, why don't we build a product for the market, and why don't we bring forms automation to all the financial professionals and the sales professionals out there? So that's what we did. After 2 years, I gave up my financial planning license and practice and focused purely on the forms capability that we offer. So